Welcome, welcome, welcome on this glorious Sunday to the PokerStrategy.com Team Liquid Star League. Here we are. It's the round of 4. We're getting right deep into it. This is day 2. I am Chill, joined as always by day 9.
Oh my god, Chill. I'm so pumped because we have some sick Zerg versus Zerg action today. Do you have any favorites? Would you like to make any esports dollar bets today?
Oh, let me tell you, when I told my girlfriend that I lost 5 esports bucks today, you don't want to see the reaction there. So I'm done with betting today. My life is in ruins after you took me for what I'm worth. But yeah, as you said, yeah, you're pretty proud about that. But we had we had a fantastic Protoss vs Protoss on Saturday. If you didn't watch that, shame on you. We had Noni taking down JF 3-1 in a very, very sick series. As we were talking about the match before, actually, and Dave was saying how they were doing practically mirror builds, and then Noni was just attacking and winning. So I was really impressed by his play yesterday.
Yeah, it was like, it wasn't just winning. It was just like winning by a significant margin. And I mean, their foods, I mean, especially the game on Tornado, their foods just lined up the entire game. Just exact same food all game long. And Noni just moves forward and ends up with this enormous amount of units in the end and just sort of waltzes forward and wins. And it's always kind of scary whenever you hear Noni interviewed because he's just so confident. I mean, there's some people who, like to talk trash, like, oh, I'm going to crush him, no problem, and then doesn't quite turn out that way. But Noni's always like, yes, I think that I am going to be going to the finals and it will be relatively easy. And then he just, gets into the finals now. So that's just, insane to see Noni be able to back up all his, comments about how he's, very confident in his play.
Yeah, he really, when he gives off these kind of trash talky comments, it's actually believable. Like, I actually feel he's saying this and he believes himself. Yeah, I'm going to beat Idra. Yeah, I'm going to 3-0, and then all this stuff happens. So, very, very scary opponent. We're going to find out today who's going to be his opponent in the finals of this Poker Strategy TSL. Let's go ahead and throw up today's matches on there. We've got Sen against Mondragon. I mean, these are the two monstrous Zergs. Maybe the only other two favorites you would have expected were Rhett or Cole, but they've both been taken out by this point. So we've got these last two Zergs in. Just for reference, I mean, it's ZVZ. The maps aren't going to play that much of an issue, but let's mention it nonetheless. We've got Andromeda, Tornado, Outsider, Destination, followed by Fighting Spirit.
Yeah, and let's just go ahead and jump right in and take a look at Sen's profile. Now, I've played a lot of Zerg vs. Zergs with both Sen and Mondragon, and Sen is the sort of player who is just very crisp in terms of his timing. He has absolutely excellent just trimming of fat off his build. I mean, things go down at just the right time. He's the sort of person that when you do a mirror build against, you always feel a little uncomfortable because you feel like he's going to get that one-up edge on you. And we saw last week Sen just played brilliantly against Rhett, letting Rhett's Overlord scoot out of his base and then flooding with tons of Zerglings to get in this very thin timing window. And despite the fact that it was just maybe 5 or 10 seconds long, Sen is very comfortable exploiting that sort of window against his opponent, and it worked beautifully against Rhett. He completely read that Rhett would be overconfident with that sunken colony, and ended up, forcing pretty much all of the games to be just big Zergling fights.
Right. The thing that always sticks in my mind now, after I saw the interview with Sen, there was 3 points, and I feel like I've never heard an interview with someone where they've gone through and systematically picked out these areas that they need to focus on. One was that he said he knew Rhett's Mutalisk micro was better than his, so he needed to finish the game or get an advantage before that, and we actually saw that translated in his play against Rhett. Number 2 and 3 were both that he exploited that timing, as you said, right when the Mutalisks are hatching, when Rhett committed to making Mutas. There's that tiny window where you can make more Zerglings and flood the opponent, and that's exactly what he did against Rhett. And to further that, Rhett was always putting up a sunken colony, and he said that he knows in Zerg vs. Zerg, if you put down a sunken colony, you feel safer than you actually are. I mean, a sunken colony really doesn't help you all that much in Zergling vs. Zergling battles, and Sen really exploited that against Rhett, really showed us his ZVZ, and I feel like a lot of people say things like, oh, I know he's going to fast expand, so I need to do, or not fast expand, but he's going to want to play a long macro game, so I need to do something to take advantage of that. But then they don't follow up on that. It's like they knew about it, but they didn't actually act on it. But Sen truly did that, truly followed up on what he knew he needed to do, and here he is in the semifinals. But I mean, he's got his work cut out with them. He's going against the godfather of Zerg, I guess. This guy's been around forever. He's going up against Mondragon.
Yeah, and Mondragon, who I've also played a lot of games with, tends to be less crisp. I'm actually unfamiliar with his Mutalist Micro. I mean, I know nowadays pretty much all good players have very strong Mutalist Micro. But what his best skill is, in my experience, is his crisis management. Mondragon gets, like, actually, the more weird the situation is, the better Mondragon tends to play, because you get a lot of players who pretty much practice a very narrow set of StarCraft. You know, they'll only practice 3-hatch Mutalisk against an early expanding Terran, and just that. When you see them play, it looks beautiful, but the instant a Terran does some sort of like 5 barracks on 1 base thing, the Zerg looks completely lost. But Mondragon plays as strongly as all those robotic players in pretty much every situation. Zerg vs. Zerg, it's going to be a little bit more difficult for Mondragon to really demonstrate that, because it tends to be, you know, again, a little bit narrower in terms of just the general experiences in the matchup. But there's still a lot of times when, you know, one player will break into the other one's base and kill off like all the drones except for 3. And I think that if there's anything like that happening, like any sort of drone trading or base trading going on, I really think Mondragon's going to be in a fantastic position.
Right, I think you explained exactly what everyone who knows him is thinking. The less standard the games go, you know, the more of an advantage to Mondragon it's going to be. So I'm really looking forward to see how he can push that if he gets put in that situation. So let's go ahead and throw up the first map there. This is going to be ZVZ on Andromeda. Of course, Andromeda favoring long, drawn-out games, which doesn't particularly apply to ZVZ. The thing we really want to focus on here is it's a 4-player map, so scouting becomes an issue, and playing a little safer because you don't know your opponent's strategy right off the bat is going to play a factor here. The only other thing I really want to mention about Andromeda is that the natural is quite a distance from the main, meaning reinforcements to defend your natural come a little later, and the rush distance from main to other natural is pretty quick. So I don't think, I mean, I've been wrong in the past, but if I was playing Andromeda, I wouldn't want to be putting out down a 12-hatch. I mean, of course, we can get into the metagame of going back and forth. He doesn't expect that, so now I'm going to, but it feels a little risky to me on Andromeda.
Yeah, I mean, I like your comment about the 12-hatch, you know, because, yeah, I mean, I completely agree. Andromeda is not exactly the map I'd want to be 12-hatching on comfortably, but Sen 12-hatch in all 5 games against Rhett, and Rhett 12-hatched in 4 of the 5 games against Sen, so, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if we just saw every Zerg player 12-hatch for the rest of his Zerg vs. Zerg life after that one. But, give my honest opinion of Andromeda, it is a hard map for Zerg vs. Zerg. It just, every single win you get on that map just felt like, oh god, it just feels like you're such a struggle bear no matter what you're doing on that map. So, I mean, there's a lot of 1-base strategies that are popular. I mean, like 9 pools are pretty solid on any map that has relatively open center. Overpool is going to be okay just in order to get your Mutalisks up as fast as you can. But there's still the fact that, you know, the 12-pool, 12-hatch type style is decently strong on this map, and I think that most players are going to opt for doing that. I'm feeling that would probably be the most reasonable choice, but any build that's not 12-hatch, I think, is what we're going to likely see. So, that's my thoughts on narrowing it down. I don't think we're going to see 12-hatch, gentlemen.
That sounds risky with Sen in the game, but we'll have to see what happens. These two guys going up against each other. Winner's going to take home at least $5,000 with the opportunity to take down the whole PokerStrategy.com TSL, taking home $10,000. So let's get right into it. Let's fire up game 1.
All right, we are currently in the semifinals of the PokerStrategy.com Team Liquid Star League, and we have Game 1 of Dustbin Sen versus Mondragon. Oh.
Ooh.
Oh, we have some insta-profanity right out the gates.
Cover your eyes.
Mondragon spawning in the top right is the orange Zergy pieces, and the bottom right we have Dustbin Sen spawning as the white Zerg pieces. And humorously, both players are instantly scouting each other in the correct position.
Right, that's something that you always want to take from the game, to notice right away if they're scouting each other, or if you get in the position where one player knows exactly what his opponent is doing, but the other player doesn't. Of course, this isn't StarCraft 2, there's no queens out, so those overlords are going to be in the base until Mutalisks are out, which is quite some time from now.
Yeah, I will admit, I've been playing StarCraft 2 over the weekend, and I forget that 100% of the Zerg vs. Zergs I play. I just get my Overlord in there, and I'm like, oh my god, he has a queen again! And then I instantly lose him. And I just get all embarrassed. But fortunately, I'm playing on that novice map, so he has to destroy like 15 destructible rocks in order to get to my base. But I'm not going to talk too much about StarCraft 2 because we have Sen 9 pooling right now. Hooray! Wow. 9 pooling. It looks like Mondragon is overpooling. Oh, again, a little bit of lag there. Alright, cool. Now we have the pool down in Mondragon's base. And, you know, both these players have been around for a very, very long time. And as a result, they have tons of experience in Zerg vs. Zerg. And that's one thing that a lot of people were a little bit concerned about, including us last week. The fact that Rhett, even though he had these great Mutalisks control and had some of those main solid builds down, it's those funky situations that end up happening, you know, once every 100 games that you sort of build up experience with over the years. Right. He didn't have that. But these players absolutely do, so I'm real curious to see how they're going to play it out.
And I mean, if you're Mondragon, because Sen used to play PVZ, if I'm not mistaken, a while ago, but if you're Mondragon, you've been playing, you know, you probably have 1,000, if not more, ZVZs under your belt. So there's going to be a situation that happens to you that's happened before, and you can certainly draw from that experience, even if it's just subconsciously. So looking now, we've got the 9 pool speed from Sen. He's got Zergling speed coming now, going to pull 1 drone off the gas. That's a standard in this build. Mondragon doing overpool speed. He's got all 3 on there. He's got Zergling speed coming, and now going to be following up with layers from both of them.
Yeah, something weird happened, but okay,
wow.
Mondragon didn't get speed. I was noticing that both their layers are coming out at exactly the same time, and I somehow thought Mondragon also researched speed there as well, but instead Mondragon is opting just to block his front. But ooh, some Zerglings doing their own thing up at the front. Uh-oh. Oh no, Sen's gonna catch those right away, and Mondragon immediately knows that he's in the 10th spot. I would not mind throwing down a Sunken Colony right now.
Looks like actually they both canceled Zergling speed. Once the Overlords got to each other's bases, they canceled the speed, went layer. Looks like Mondragon's got it coming again. Sen not researching Zergling speed, so it looks like he's just going to hold his ramp and go straight for Mutalisks. Mondragon equal to the task, now making drones at his main. Both holding the ramp. Looks like Mondragon had that one Zergling out, trying to flank around, but I mean, Sen saw it pretty clearly, so they're both moving into fairly standard play. Layers about to pop for both of them. They're getting their drones ready for Spire, and we're going to go up to Mutalisks.
Yeah, I saw Sen be a little bit behind on getting that Overlord up, and that's going to be a little bit of an issue here. Not the biggest one. Mondragon's 3rd Overlord's coming up right on time, and Mondragon also is about to get Zergling speed. He might be able to break Sen's ramp right here, at the very least do a ton of damage. Oh, here he is, look at this micro, pulling all of Sen's Zerglings up, but those speed Zerglings always get the extra hits when the white Zerglings are running away. And look at Mondragon just breaking the ramp. Oh my goodness, he has branked the front, ladies and gentlemen. And Sen currently has pretty much 0 Zerglings. Those 2 Zerglings aren't going to do anything at all. I think Mondragon might have a very quick game 1.
Sen's got to drill here. He's got to defend his Spire. Mondragon going straight for the Spire while Sen tries to hold the Sunken Colony. Spire at about 200 HP. It looks like it's going to live, but he's lost a lot of drones. If we take a look here, Sen is at 10 drones, and I'm waiting for Mondragon to show. He's got 11 drones, so Mondragon up on drones, and he's lost a little bit of gas time, but it looks like at least Sen can take away that he's not going to die to these Zerglings.
One thing that's really useful to note is if you go to Sen's base and click on the gas, it's at about 4,300. But if you go to Mondragon's base, that very instant, it was under 4,200. That's a great demonstration of how, if you're using Zerglings to sort of, mess with your opponent for a little bit, you can get very far ahead in gas very quickly, because I was actually checking those gas counts, and they were dead even for a long time. And here comes the Spire Surround. Oh my god, the Spire's at 200 hit points. It's at 100 hit points, but those Zerglings are falling fast. Is he going to get it? 2 Zerglings left. Oh! Last hit from the last Zergling takes the Spire down. And this is going to be easy cleanup for Mondragon now. I mean, his opponent doesn't have Zergling speed, and then the Mutalisk is going to have an endless stream of those. Ugh, man, Mondragon pretty much done with game 1.
Right, and that's a textbook example of why you want your Spire somewhere where it's not easily surrounded by Zerglings. If we take a look at the surface area that was on that Spire, the Zerglings could surround it on almost all fronts except the right, so not a good situation. Put your Spire in there. Now Sen's trying to counter with a few Zerglings, Mondragon cleaning those up with Mutalisk. Well, he tries to get his Spire up, but it's really not going to happen.
Yeah.
Mondragon's going to have a really easy timing here where he has basically double the Mutalisk of Sen. Sen trying to do a little harassment here to just buy himself some time, but even if he lives, Mondragon having the second hatchery up, it's really just not going to happen for Sen.
Yeah, I mean, and look, Sen, just good games without doing any damage with his Mutalisk, and that means that we have Mondragon up 1-0, which means he is 2 games away from facing that other guy, that American, Noni, in the finals. There we go.
That guy. But yeah, I think I'm really surprised that happened, because Sen had full, complete vision of Mondragon the whole game, with 2 Overlords, both scouting the Zerglings and scouting the main base. He should have realized when Zergling speed was complete that he had to put a Sun Colony up if he wasn't going to produce enough Zerglings or get Zergling speed himself. Just because, as you said, when you funnel down the ramp and then pull your Zerglings back, if you don't have speed, those speedlings run right up to you and deal so much like little bonus damage while you're trying to get out of there. It's just somehow it always happens. Speed Zerglings against non-speed Zerglings just get this ridiculous bonus, and if you don't have some other way to counter that, you're going to see the result that happened right there.
Yeah, and that's one thing that's super important to note whenever you're in that complete information Zerg vs. Zerg style with the Overlord in there. The one thing you can't see is whether or not your opponent is researching Zergling speed. And there's a time, I'd probably say around when you have 8 Zerglings, where if you don't see speed from your opponent, you're pretty much thinking, oh yeah, he's just not going to be getting speed. And that's a real dangerous trap to fall into, because we see Mondragon pretty much just had like a 2, maybe a 4 Zergling advantage, but because he got speed, and because the Zergling numbers were small, it negated the advantage that ramp gives. And as a result, Mondragon was able to just completely overwhelm him, and then with a little bit of that poor Spire placement, there was absolutely nothing that Sen could do after those Zerglings broke the front.
Right, and let's not forget about the little bit of build order disadvantage that Sen found himself in. The only thing he's going to get from 9-pool speed faster than overpool gas is that he'll get that speed a little faster, but that advantage is completely negated by the travel distance that he has to go to Mondragon's base. So Mondragon getting, I believe he would have 2 free drones over Sen, so a little bit of a disadvantage there. He did the right thing, in my eyes, trying to cancel that Zergling speed, going straight to lair, but Mondragon, countering right back, doing the right thing to take advantage of that. So that set's behind us. Let's take a look now at map number 2. We're going to be going on to Tornado, which again, a 4-player map. Going to play a little bit similar to Andromeda, but I would expect to see someone taking the risk and 12 hatching outright in this match.
Yeah, 12 hatching or pretty much any early expand feels a lot more comfortable on this map, because the Overlord scout patterns, they're going to be able to get to one main relatively quickly, but the consecutive scouting mains is going to be a little bit tougher. So generally not too much really good scouting goes on early, and even if players do send 9 drone scouts out or something like that, 12 hatches or even 12 hatches are pretty safe. You can use Zerglings and drones right with your ramp. The ramp's tucked in and it's pointing towards the expansion, so it's much easier to defend with your units.
Right, and with the modern 2 drone plus Zergling defense, even if he gets there with more Zerglings, those drones just, they soak up damage and they deal that 5 extra damage, and they screw up the AI of the attacking Zerglings. So, you know, and in this day and age, it's getting really easy to defend 9 pools. Well, not so much easy, but it's getting more comfortable to defend 9 pools with 12 hatches. So, if they're ready for that, I mean, they should be able to defend, and it becomes a much more viable option. Are you ready, Mr. 9? Are you ready to see this?
Dude, I am pumped up for this game. I'm just still begging for a beautiful long-term Zerg vs. Zerg, because that is the area where I think we're really going to see what makes Mondragon such an incredible, incredible player.
All right, let's cross our fingers, cross our toes. Let's do it. Game number 2.